What is up guys, Rakakas here, and today we're going over the best Year 2 heavy weapons for Trials of Osiris. Now why do you want Year 2 weapons? Well, that's because in Trials of Osiris, light matters. If you have a higher light, you're going to be doing more damage to a lesser light opponent, so you want to have as high of a light level as possible. In addition, you need a fire team leader with a light of 290 or above just to get in to Trials of Osiris. Now the weapons in this video were selected by scouring the Planet Destiny database to find the weapons with the best starting stats for PvP. Often these weapons don't really need incredible perk rolls to function well in PvP, perks simply act to accentuate an already great gun. Now I've made previous videos on the best Year 2 primaries and specials for Trials of Osiris, so I'll link those in the description of this video. You guys can check those out if you're interested, but without further ado, let's get started with machine guns. Now the first machine gun we're going over is the Runewake Crucible machine gun. Now why was the Runewake selected? Well, let's take a look at those stats, and you can see right away that stability really stands out. In fact, the Runewake is tied for second place of the highest starting stability of any machine gun in Destiny, so that is really good. In addition, the Runewake is one of the higher damaging machine guns, tying things like the Thunderlord. These machine guns can absolutely tear people apart in PvP as long as you land your headshots. And in addition, you can actually go and buy a Runewake right now from the Crucible vendor. And the roll isn't fantastic, but it also isn't terrible. Now I should also mention that you can also just use your Quillam's Terminus raid machine gun, as it has very similar stats to the Runewake. Now the next machine gun we're going over is the Variable Future War Cult machine gun. Now looking at the stats, you can see that this weapon again has very good starting stability, but this is a little bit more important because this weapon belongs to the higher rate of fire class of machine guns. But the thing is, most machine guns that have this rate of fire have something in, the 30s of stability. So the variable vastly outclasses its competitors in terms of starting stability, which is incredible because if you want to use a machine gun with this high of a rate of fire, you really do need a great stability, and the variable gets off to a running start. The variable being sold by the Future War Cult vendor also has a pretty damn good roll with counterbalance and rangefinder. Now the last heavy machine gun I'm going to go over is the Baron's Ambition. This is actually a strike reward weapon. Now this weapon is a random drop from the Fallen Saber Strike. And although this weapon is quite rare, it's definitely worth taking another look at for PvP. Looking at the stats, you can see that this weapon also has a very good starting stability, but its rate of fire and impact are quite unique. In fact, this is the only Year 2 machine gun that has this damage profile, and this is the same damage profile as the Zombie Apocalypse Vanilla Destiny machine gun, which absolutely terrorized the Crucible when it was viable. Now let's move on to the rocket launchers. Now the first rocket launcher we're going over is the SUROS JLB-47. Looking at the stats, you can see that this weapon has absolutely insane velocity and a great blast radius as well. Now since this SUROS rocket launcher is just kind of randomly inserted into the loot table and many players don't have it, don't worry, there's another option. The VERTIGO being sold by the Future War Cult vendor, you can see here by the stats it has almost the same stats as the SUROS, but again you can go to the Future War Cult vendor and buy it right now. And the version the Future War Cult vendor is selling actually has grenades and horseshoes and javelin, definitely one of the best rolls I've ever seen on one of the best rocket launchers I've ever seen. If you like rocket launchers and you can do without tracking, I think the VERTIGO is definitely one of the most competitive rocket launchers you can pick up for Trials of Osiris. Now with rocket launchers is kind of a unique scenario because they matter a lot more about the perks than they do necessarily the stats. And although the weapons I just went over, again, those have great stats, very competitive in PvP, you are going to want to look at some rocket launchers being sold by different vendors because again, their perks are quite good. The rocket launcher being sold by the Crucible vendor actually has grenades and horseshoes as well, and triple tube, although this is nowhere near as good as the Vertigo in my opinion, because the blast radius and the velocity are much worse. If you don't have the future war cult ranking that you need to get the Vertigo, this is a great second choice. Now, if you are a player who prefers tracking on their rocket launchers, you should definitely check out the rocket launcher being sold by the Vanguard Quartermaster. This rocket launcher does have tracking and actually has Army of One, which is a decent perk for rocket launchers as well. The velocity is quite poor, but the blast radius is almost completely maxed. Now that's it for rocket launchers. We aren't going to be going over swords today because they have predetermined perks, and to be quite honest, you probably should not be using a sword in Trials of Osiris. But in any event, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please remember to rate and share this video. It really helps me out. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more Destiny content, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me, the best way is on Twitter. That's going to be linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can follow as well. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.